I'm here with Mark Henick. Now, Mark, I'm really glad to have you here today. You've been through a lot and you've also achieved a lot. At 22 years old, you're the youngest member of the Canadian Mental Health Association, so congrats on that. I wanted to know why it was so important for you to come to Western to talk about mental health.
I think that right now, mental health in Canada, and especially on our university campuses, is one of the most talked about issues. When we have youth suicide rates that are staggeringly high, when we have rates of depression and anxiety among young people, 15 to 24 years old, that are as high as they are, this is an incredibly important discussion to have, and this is the perfect venue to have it in.
And you talked about the depression rates and mental health on university campuses. How does one open up conversation with someone who, you may think that is dealing with their mental health issues?
I think that we build it up to be a lot harder than it is. Just asking somebody how they're doing and really meaning it, not just saying, oh, how are you doing today? Actually asking them and caring how they're doing and being prepared for the answer, because I think that's what stops us sometimes from asking the question. And we see this in suicide all the time too. People are afraid to ask if somebody's thinking of killing themselves, and that's because we're afraid of what they're going to say. We're afraid that they're going to say that they're thinking about suicide, or that they're depressed, or that they have something going on at home. So taking a few minutes to be really interested in somebody else's life can have a really big difference.
You make a distinction when you're doing your speeches about the difference between the terms dying by suicide and committing suicide. So for someone who hasn't seen you speak, how would you explain that to someone, why it's so important to make that distinction?
Right. So when people say that somebody has committed suicide, the word committed, generally speaking, connotes crime that somebody commits. So we commit murder, we commit rape, we commit arson. Suicide hasn't been a crime in Canada since the early 1970s. So therefore, we can't commit suicide. It's not a crime. However, we can complete suicide, or we can die by suicide. To put it another way, people don't commit cancer. They don't commit AIDS. They don't commit a disease. And this is really what it comes back to, that suicide is a public health concern. It's not a criminal concern.
In society, we've made a lot of progress. Where do you see society going from here with resources regarding mental health?
Right now, I think we need to broaden the types of people who we think can help. That is, it's not just doctors that can help people with mental health problems and illnesses. Family members, we know, have a huge impact. Friends, colleagues, even complete strangers sometimes. I talk in some of my talks about a stranger who actually saved my life, and I had never seen him again. So being that person, if not literally, then figuratively, willing to be there and pull somebody off of the edge. I think that's important, to be able to be connected to others in that way. And everybody has a responsibility to do that, not just mental health professionals.
In the media world, you see a lot of people stigmatizing celebrities that are maybe going through mental health issues. Why do you think that is?
Like anything else, it's a catchy story, and it's very reflective of still where we are as a society, where we think it's okay to call somebody crazy or psycho or nuts or based on some real problems that they're dealing with. When the media reports on things like mental illness and mental health, they very rarely talk to people who actually have lived experience. They have commentators, they talk to police, they talk to judges, doctors, but they don't actually talk to people who live with a mental illness. And likewise, they often won't even talk to experts. They'll just assert their opinion. Something that you see happening in the media a lot is the diagnosis of other people. Somebody will assume that somebody has a particular disorder when they have no possible way of knowing that. So I think that we jump to those conclusions as a way to distance ourselves from the behavior of the other person by trying to label it and try to make it into something that seems more manageable, but really it's a lot more complicated than that.
And finally, you're a new father, so congratulations on that. What would be your ideal society in the future for your child?
I think a society where, I had a little boy, so especially where a little boy is able to grow up and to be able to say that he needs help. I think that the mustache that I'm growing is partly about men's mental health. And one of the reasons that men don't seek help is because of this standard of masculinity, that somehow it makes them weaker, somehow it's a moral or a character failing. And that's just not acceptable. For him to grow up in a society where it's okay to talk about how we're feeling, that that's not a blemish on your character, and in fact it makes you a lot stronger.
Awesome. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.